Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our iOS development with UIKit tutorial series. And in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at how we can use what's called a gesture recognizer in UIKit. Now, what is a gesture recognizer? Well, as the name suggests, a gesture recognizer is a type of object that allows us to specify custom gestures that we attach to other views so it can recognize those gestures and handle them appropriately. Alright, so in particular, in this video, we're going to take a look at UITapGesture. UITapGesture is fairly customizable to whatever you might need it to do. And we'll go through that here as we move forward. Now, the app that I have right now is a very basic user interface where I have a UI view instance, something you generally don't use all that much, but we have it here anyway. It takes up the entire screen. And what we're going to do is we are going to attach a tap gesture recognizer to this view, and every time it's tapped, we will change the background color of the view. It's a relatively simple example, but it will get the point that I'm trying to teach you across, and that is how to use a gesture recognizer to perform some kind of task. Alright, so without further ado, let's go into Xcode and get started. The first thing that we need to take a look at is the top of our view controller here. I have a constant array called colors. This is using a custom type that I have called color, or color item rather. Each color item has a name and a color consisting of either, the color is a UI color, but you can also, with this object, specify a custom red, green, blue, and opacity value. And so that way internally it converts that to a UI color and all that sort of stuff. A lot of these are custom colors. Some of them are system colors. They're all just kind of mixed and matched into an array of colors. All right, so let's go ahead and now that we have that all squared away, inside of configure, I'm going to set the initial background color of our view. So v.layer.background color equals colors.randomelement.color .cg color. Okay, there we go. Now our view has a default color. The next thing that we need to do, above where we are configuring our view, we are going to create a tap gesture recognizer object. So to do this, we'll say let tap recognizer equals UI tap gesture recognizer, and then we're going to take in two parameters in our tap gesture recognizer, a target and an action. This action will get fired off every time the gesture is recognized, and we can specify different requirements for this tap gesture to get recognized, and we'll cover those here in a moment. So let's go ahead and create this object's initializer. All right, inside of its initializer we'll have a target we'll set it to self. And then action will be a selector. So hashtag selector. And the action method that I have set up is a, let's see. It should be tap, okay, Xcode, if you could cooperate. There we go, detected tap. That's the method name that we're looking for. We don't want to call the method. We just want a reference. All right. And there we go. All right. Now that we have our tap recognizer here, we need to configure this tap gesture recognizer. So we'll say tap recognizer dot. Now, number of taps required specifies how many taps need to be performed in order for the gesture to be recognized. So if you need 2 taps, 3 taps, 4 taps, you can do that. Over here, we're only going to specify 1. So we only need 1 tap for the gesture to be recognized, but you could say 2 or 3 or 4. Now, a good example for where you might use, or where a tap gesture recognizer is used, is with VoiceOver. There are several gestures that are tap gesture recognizers, such as the 3-finger double tap or triple tap, 4-finger triple tap, all that stuff. All that stuff can be done with a tap gesture recognizer. Now, of course, one thing you also need to keep in mind with tap gesture recognizers is that the tasks that you can perform with a tap gesture, they must have some other alternate way to perform that task, especially for assistive technology users, because there are users who might not be able to perform those gestures because they don't have the dexterity to do so. So you definitely need to make sure that anything your tap gestures can do can be done in some other way as well. All right, that is super important. It's a very big accessibility thing that needs to be taken into account. Now let's go ahead and say tap recognizer dot number of touches required. Now, the number of touches required is how many fingers at a time need to perform the number of taps to have our tap gesture recognized. So if you want a double finger single tap, double finger double tap, or whatever the case might be, that this is how you could do it. So we're going to say 1. So we want a single finger single tap to trigger this gesture recognizer. I urge you to play around with this a little bit, because the more you play around with it, the more you understand just how many possibilities there are here. All right, and then we can say tap recognizer dot. We can have a delegate, although it's not technically required. Cancels touches in view. Now, what this does is it's relatively simple, as the name implies. It'll cancel any touches that are made for other views in favor of the tap gesture recognizer. All right. Now, is enabled. This can allow you to programmatically enable or disable the tap gesture recognizer. Now, state is very important because when we go into our action method for recognizing our tap gesture, we should generally always check the state to make sure that we only execute the code we want to execute when the state of the tap gesture is ended, when the tap gesture is recognized, and all of that, right? So keep state in mind. We're going to be using that here pretty soon. You can get the view that the tap gesture is associated with. You can, let's see here. Now, there are other properties here that you can work with, such as, well, and then there's also other methods you can work with, like location, to get the location of a tap gesture, or the centroid point of the various taps, stuff like that. You can get the location of specific touches, all of that stuff. You can add another target if you want. There's all kinds of stuff you can do here, but we're going to leave it as is. All right. The last thing that we need to do here is add the gesture recognizer to our view. So to do that, we need to say v.add.gesture.recognizer. So we call the add.gesture.recognizer method, and then we'll add tap recognizer. Just like that. Now that we have our tap gesture recognizer added to our view, we can go back down to the bottom of our file and handle the action method. So here's our action method for the tap gesture recognizer. You can see detected tap. And then we're taking in a UITapGestureRecognizer as a sender, so the object that is sending this, or that is calling this method. And so inside here, we're going to have an if statement. This if statement is going to use the state property of our tap gesture recognizer to make sure that the state is ended. And we can do that by saying if sender.state equals dot. And here are the different options. We have ended, we have began. So when the gesture recognizer has begun recognizing, failed, when the gesture recognizer fails, changed, possible, canceled, recognized. So what we're going to use is ended. All right. Once that's done, we can say v.layer.background color equals colors dot random element dot color dot cg color, just like that. All right, let's save it and run our code now. And we have a successful build. I'm going to unlock my phone here, because I'm going to screen mirror for you. All right. Perfect. Now I'm going to turn on screen mirroring. And we're going to screen mirror to the Mac Mini here. All right. So here we are in our app. I'm going to turn off VoiceOver. And let's go ahead and tap our view. You can see the color changes. Tap it again, it changes. Tap it again, it changes. And the more you tap it, the more it changes. Now when I'm tapping here, I'm being careful to change the color very slowly. That way, people who are watching who might have epilepsy don't have a seizure while watching this video. I would hate for that to happen. I would feel so bad. But you get the idea. All right. So that is how UITapGestureRecognizer works in UIKit. This is compatible with Mac Catalyst, but when testing this with VoiceOver, using VoiceOver for clicks and stuff does not trigger the tap gesture. So I'm not sure if that's intentional behavior or not, but that's just what happens. That is just what happens in my testing. Feel free to try that out on your own, so you can get the hang of it. Using Mac Catalyst as well if need be. So anyways, guys, that pretty much does it for this video. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.